Hello friends, Adam here with FED. So I've been playing a lot of Three Houses lately on the channel, and of course also finished a Three Houses Magic only run recently, and that was incredibly eye-opening to the number one, the fact that mages are generally pretty overpowered in Three Houses, and number two, it opened my eyes to just like you can really make anyone a mage in some way or another and make them useful. I think there's very few cases in Three Houses where making a unit a mage is actively a bad thing. You know, it may not be as good as other things, but it's usually going to be okay for them, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of people will say that, like, Sylvain really wants to be something that gives him Lancefare for Swift Strikes, and I would argue that's probably his best route and his easiest route to go. But magic is still just really good for him, even. So, Three Houses is just really good for mages. Really, really good. Now, you might argue that mages are better. There are some better mages in different games. You know, thinking of like Asbel from 3C776, who's just incredible, or Lewin or Sed from Genealogy of the Holy War, who are also really incredible. But I think those are just kind of like single cases in their games that are really good. And I think in Three Houses, every mage benefits a lot from a few different things that I'll talk about here today. So again, I think Three Houses is the best game to be a squishy mage or like a glass cannon mage in the series. And here are a few reasons. Number one, the game is incredibly player phase heavy on maddening. And we are going to be focusing on maddening here because on normal and hard, it's a lot easier to make just about anything work. Whereas on maddening, since the enemy quality is higher, you need, not need, but it really separates the good from the great. On normal and hard, the good from the great, good and great classes and units, they kind of mesh together and become both the same because they can all kind of do the same job, where they can kill enemies, tank on enemy phase and stuff like that. But on maddening, the enemies' stats are dialed up to 11. You know, there's a kind of insane in some cases. Looking at you, like 57 speed swordmasters and stuff, just dumb. And with those incredibly high stats and incredibly, powerful weapons they're equipped with and everything like that, units are, the really good units and really good classes and stuff like that are really like exacerbated. Like you can really tell who's good or not on a harder difficulty. So, and maddening is just really player phase focused because the enemy quality is so high. And I made a whole video about player phase versus enemy phase focus earlier, maybe I think about a week ago now. So maybe go check that out if you're curious on my thoughts on that. So I'm not going to go too deep into it. Next, the mages have so much range. Like, not only do a lot of mages have like 3 ranged spells like Thoron or Death or Mire, they also have skills like Magic Range +1. That is either class dependent, like on Valkyrie, or you can get it by reaching S rank in your magic rank. So, like, that's awesome. And you can even stack those. So, like, one of my favorite things to do is to stack that for Lysithea, and then if you want to, you can give her other things to make it even crazier, and like attack with Miasma from 6 spaces away or something, which is stupid. Basically, a siege tome at that point. And again, and I kind of already mentioned it, but on top of those skills, you have 2 incredibly potent items in Thyrsus and Caduceus staves. Thyrsus increasing your magic range by 2, attack magic range, I should say, by 2, and Caduceus doing the same, but only by 1. With that, you basically never have to face an enemy phase attack. Even like archers and stuff that have, 3-4 range, a lot of times you can avoid getting countered by them from a distance. So Thyrsus and magic range +1 skills just are incredible in making the survivability of these squishy mages go way up. Another thing that really leans into magic and mages being good in Three Houses is that magic is replenished every battle. You know, my previously mentioned things, like I mentioned Asbel from 3C776 FE5, who is incredibly powerful regardless of the weapon that he uses, but he does have a special weapon called Graph Caliber that works with his toolkit and allows him to crit on follow-up attacks every time. just with the way the mechanics work in Thracia. And that is something that's just really potent, really powerful, great for bosses, and makes him a really good boss killer and just really any tough enemy. So that's really great. But eventually that is going to run out of uses, and you're going to have to either use a repair staff on it or just continue without it. Three Houses doesn't have that problem. You know, Hades may only have, you know, what is it, 3 uses like in base for your magic unit like Lysithea, but she can use those 3 uses every single map she has access to the spell. And that is incredibly good. And the same goes for, you know, incredibly powerful skills like Warp or Rescue or Fortify that normally in Fire Emblem you have a very limited use of. And you technically do have a limited use of Warps and Rescues. I get that because there's only so many chapters in the game. And you only get 1 or 2 at most warps per chapter per character. But the fact that you don't have to worry about, like, oh, am I going to have this every chapter is really good. You don't have to plan it as much, which maybe it's because I'm lazy and I like that a lot. But spells replenishing every battle is incredibly good. It allows you to use your best spells whenever you need to, without like any remorse. So you're able to spam your spells, maybe not spam, but really you can use them pretty freely. Spells like Dark Spikes, Excalibur, Ragnarok, Hades, and more, of course, Aura, Abraxas. Just incredibly powerful magic spells that you can use when needed. And then the last thing that really makes these not bulky mages, squishy mages, still like it helps their bulk essentially are gambits and other things that can lock enemy units in place. So gambits are really good, but also you have like Banshee, which reduces the enemy's movement by 5, which really you don't have much access to, but you know, Happy's pretty good, so it doesn't hurt to have her use it, you know. And then if you really need to lock people down, you have other skills from other units, like Encloser and stuff like that. So really, really good stuff, and makes your squishy mages much more survivable. So with all of that, counterattacks are incredibly rare. Like you getting countered is incredibly rare. Like if you're getting countered as a mage in Three Houses, you're probably doing something wrong, or you just, for some reason, you're tanky or dodge tanky or something, and you don't care. So you really shouldn't be seeing counterattacks. And another thing that really goes into the benefit of the squishy mage is that single big attacks and combat arts are like the way to kill enemies in Three Houses. On maddening doubling just isn't very realistic in most cases. I've already mentioned the sword masters with 57 speed or whatever in endgame, and you're most likely not going to reach that without some incredibly hardcore grinding or stat booster abuse, like getting like a bunch of speed carrots and stuff, and you putting them like all on one unit. You're probably not going to double those enemies, but there is potential with some units like Lysithea, Constance, Hubert, and a few others probably, that have a good chance of getting their magic high enough to deal enough damage in one attack to kill enemies. Especially when you take into account really powerful spells like Hades or Excalibur, Fimbulveter, Luna, these spells that allow you to really munch through an enemy's HP bar. So those are so really just single big attacks are the way you one round, or again big combat arts are the way you run round in Three Houses. And then if you can't one round, guess what? You have Thyrsus and the Caduceus Staff, Magic Ring +1, and whatever else to deal chip damage from a safe distance, and then you can move in for the kill if you need to. So Three Houses really, really likes mages, man. For being able, they can either attack far away or just deal big damage up close and just really destroy people. So I don't know, those are just my general thoughts. I've been thinking about it a lot, about mages are just kind of broken in Three Houses because of all the tools you get. I'm not saying that mages are necessarily the biggest damage dealers in the game or they are the best units in the game, but I just know they are really, really good in Three Houses. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think mages are the best, I guess I should say, do you think mages are at their best in Three Houses compared to like every other Fire Emblem game? Do you think that units like Lysithia and Constance, regardless of their like bad bulk, are still incredibly good, or are you one of those that are gonna say they're really bad because of one reason or another? Curious to hear your thoughts. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already, and I'll catch you next time, friends.